Hello, everyone. Welcome to Savage Bowling TV's presentation of the 2020 Indiana State Queens here inside Championship Lanes in Anderson, Indiana. Scott Gilmore and PBA Hall of Famer Mike Albee in the booth with me this weekend, or we should say just today, as the Queens is a one-day event. But welcome, Mike, to your first Queens Championship here in Anderson.
Yeah, it's glad to be here. It's always good to be at Championship Lanes here in Anderson, and looking at some great bowling games here. I mean, it's just good scores, really. I'm very excited about this today.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance before we ended our broadcast for the first squad to go over the scores, but Shelby New ran away with qualifying in the first squad. She shot a 919 series, plus 119. Michelle Irwin was second at plus 53. Dion Wilson-Bouillet was plus 41. Taylor Ellison plus 40. Dana File plus 36. Annalise Sisk and Monica Hall-Meals plus 34. Faith Hill plus 25. Teresa Smith-Dill plus 23. Natalie Tackett plus 10. Tammy Markwa plus 10. Or Natalie was plus 13. Tammy Markwa was plus 10. And Stacy Bischoff was 12th at plus 4. That is your top 12. They've 34 entries in this squad, so we're going to take the top 16. And so right now that score would be minus 25, but obviously that's going to change. A lot of these ladies we've seen, Mike, have re-entered.
Yes.
Dana File, Monica Hall-Meals, Faith Hall, Natalie Tackett has all re-entered, except for Shelby New. She's comfortably sitting to our right eating lunch.
I can totally understand that with a 919. I mean, what a great round, first round. I mean, she dominated.
Yeah, she got off to a great start, went 230, 240, 240, and just kind of cruised on in with a 196 her last game. So, again, thank you for taking time this afternoon to spend time with us here inside Championship Lanes as we present to you the Queens Championship, and want to thank our sponsors quickly before we kind of go over the squads and scoring for squad number 2. But want to thank Pinheads Bowling Center and Fishers. Want to thank Big Four Socks, Mike Albee's Arrowhead Bowl in Lafayette, and Motive Bowling, and the Anderson-Madison County Visitors Bureau. Want to thank those sponsors for allowing us to broadcast you the greatest female bowlers in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, I think it's a great tournament, and Jeff Circle and his crew have done a great job of having this event and actually helping it grow. So very excited to see it, and here we are in COVID time, so it's really nice to see this many people out bowling. So
absolutely, and some talented players on our TV pair. Some ladies just to the left and right of our focus pairs. Alexis Carter and Kim Woodall are on 7 and 8. Alexis beat Kim for the 2019 championship, and Kim won it in 2016. So a lot of talent right there. Monica Hall-Meals, our 2018 champion. She's on 3 and 4, just off to our left. The focus pairs this afternoon are 5 and 6, 9 and 10, and 11 and 12. But you should be able to see the pairs to the left and right off each one, so we're trying to get you a little wider view. We won't be showing scoring, but we'll try to kind of give you updates as the squad progresses. And kind of the fun part about this, Mike, is when you get down to games 3 and 4, you start to figure out what the cut score is going to be and what it's going to take and how these bowlers progress through that.
Yeah, in such a shorter format, 4 games, so you've got to keep focused on each frame. I mean, every frame's important, every spare is important, and you definitely don't want to get one of those bad games where you force yourself into throwing a lot of strikes, because, I think the scores show that there's some opportunities for that, but it's not a given.
Yeah, you got to avoid that 150 game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in order to get back to even, you're shooting in a 240 or 250 pace the next game. Awful hard to do. It's out there.
It is.
Shelby showed that,
yeah.
And some other ladies also had some great scores, but you don't want to have to force yourself to throw a bunch of strikes, because when you get down to the closing frames of each game, the pressure mounts, right?
Well, and they freshly were re-oiled, so you're going to move after every game, so whoever you're following could be setting that up for you, what it's going to look like. It may not look like the first pair you just left on that you got to practice on. So you've got to be ready that first and second frame to make good shots and to make a good read off of it, so you don't end up with that 150 to 170 game and get yourself lost.
Well, and championship lanes is similar to most other centers. It's a big center, right, 48 lanes. But you also have what we always called sections of the house were just a little bit different than others. We're down here on the low end of the house, and it's a little tighter. And then once you get closer to the counter, which is normal, right, in most centers, it starts to hook a little bit more.
Yeah, I think think of yourself when not when you used to, but when you go practice, it's like, give me a pair in the middle somewhere. So those pairs obviously get more play and break the surface down a little more. So the outside ends are always less used, so they're going to be a little more fresher, and the surface is not going to be quite as beaten up.
All right, the ladies are about halfway through game number 1 here of the B squad or second squad. Just 2 qualifying blocks today, and then they will go into what we call match play. It'll be a single game double elimination format, the top 16 ladies. So basically you have kind of you don't want to get in that loser's bracket too early, but you're going to be bowling a lot more games. But at least if you lose a game, you're not out.
Right. And one-game matches, I mean, those are very difficult. A lot of pressure every shot, is something that you've got to pay attention to. You got to get your spares. You got to get your pin count, because in a one-game match, it all matters much more on a higher scale.
And Kim Woodall in front of us here on 7 and 8 had the front 4, and then she missed a single pin, but came right back in the 6th with the strike. And we'll try to move the cameras around as much as we can to give you a different view of other players.
Well, she's looked the most lined up out of anybody within the 5 or 6 pairs we're looking at right in front of us. There's some girls struggling. Looks like some splits. Every pair seems to have some opens out there. So especially after 10 minutes of practice, you would think you might see a little more consistent scoring, but it looks like there's still some confusion out there.
Well, and you just kind of wanted to try to do everything possible to kind of keep the pocket in front of you and try to cover all the spares. Definitely don't want to give away the single pins or what we call the makeable spares, right?
Yeah, because you get yourself in trouble. I mean, it's easy to get in trouble out there because they're not easy. They're very demanding. Accuracy is very important.
Great shot right in front of us by Alexis Cox, and leaves a solid 10-pin.
Yeah, she came off a solid 8 on the left lane too. So, yeah, a couple of good shots, just not able to get the carry.
I always felt like it's you get frustrated leaving a solid 8-pin and a solid 10-pin, but you're close.
Yes. And
you got to figure if you keep throwing them there, they're eventually going to carry.
Yeah, that's where you kind of just keep your head down, pay attention to what you're doing, not what everybody else is doing, and just take it one frame at a time. Once it's out of your hands, you can't change it. It's history, so you just move on. The last thing you want to do is let it affect your next shot.
Right, absolutely. Got a few strings as we're looking up around. Alexis made her spare on lane 8. You saw that right off to your left. We're going to get a look here of Faith Hall coming up here shortly on lane number 9, or excuse me, lane 10, I believe. No, she'll be up on lane 9. Some of these, the nice thing I think I enjoy is many of these ladies I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of good to see, like we talked about, you see all these really talented female bowlers that there's a lot more of them in the state than you realize, and it's the one event where they all come together, and it's kind of cool to see how many talented ladies there are.
Yeah, they just don't have the ladies don't have the opportunities that the men have to with tournament play. I mean, unless they want to go and compete with the men, which a lot of times it's very difficult if the scoring pace is too sky high and that. But it's just nice to see an event where they can come out here and showcase their talents yeah, there is a lot of great physical games out here that can throw a lot of strikes. You can see why they can compete with the men. Yeah,
absolutely. Here's Faith Hall on lane 9, working on a 3-bagger, frames 6 through 8. She rolls the ball really nicely. And there is the Announcer jinx.
Yeah, it just looked like it was close. I think she got it where she wanted to. I think just a little extra speed, and the ball just wanted to skate a little farther down the lane, and broke down the. Looks like the 8's gone, so it's just a 210. She's got it's makeable for sure.
Kim Woodall to your left with the bucket. She converts.
Good spare.
And she
gave her a run at it.
Gave it a run. Would you, in that situation, Mike, you're in the 9th frame, would you try to go for that spare, or would you just try to get your 2 pins since she was working on a 3-bagger?
Yeah, I think that position you got to go for it because you're only in a 4-game tournament. While the risk reward is keeping the momentum going by getting a spare. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose a few pins. You don't want to do that, but I think you got to make a run at it in a smaller format, especially at this early.
Not a lot of scoring early down here on our end, Mike. This side of the house is a little tighter, and it takes the ladies about a few games to get the track, what we would call the track, broken down, and where they have some area to swing to, right?
Yeah, I think to get them to tame down a little bit because I think you got a lot of over and under right now where the ball's, you make a move and it wants to break loose in the back and you're right in the high on the head pin and a little extra speed and it wants to scoot a little farther down the lane and then you leave the 210 and the bucket type things. And so it's going to take, like I said, a little more time. I think we're getting close. A few more frames, you're going to have that where they're going to stabilize a little bit and you'll be able to throw a ball more comfortably and know what's going to do.
Now, Jeff Circle, the tournament director, took a pattern called Stonehenge, which is a kind of a softer pattern, but he modified it a little bit and to make it a little more challenging, but he wanted the ladies who threw the ball well to score.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. I mean, it's easy to see that they're not easy, but if you're throwing the ball well and accurate, you'll be able to score.
We're trying to get Shelby over here to talk to us a little bit, and we're not doing very good at it.
I was going to say good luck. She seems to be rolling the other direction.
All right, we're going to bring her in, and Shelby joining us here in the broadcast booth. Shelby, thanks for taking the time. And, man, we're looking at your scores, and 230, 240, 240 out of the gate came out strong. What did you see that led to your success out here?
I just came in this morning and just kind of relaxed. I usually come in and overthink things. But this morning I just came in and took it as one shot at a time. So I came in, tried different shots, tried different balls, and like I said, I just stayed relaxed. Didn't overthink it, one shot at a time. And when I found something, I stuck with it. And then I came in with a game plan, and when I thought I needed to move too much, I was like, I don't want to move my feet too much, so then I just changed balls if I needed to and just stuck with that game plan. And when I got that game plan, I stuck with it. So I didn't stray from it too much.
I mean, that's exactly what I would think. I mean, what a perfect outlay of your set this last round. Bowled beautifully, obviously very nice, very accurate, good ball reaction, but you threw it well. So, what I liked the most important part was the way you talked about it, and the fact that you had a game plan and you stuck to it. And no sense bowling another round just to go out there and try to confuse yourself. You've got it figured out. You're relaxed, ready to go. Awesome job.
Well, thank you.
Very nice.
So let me ask you, Shelby, this is your home center?
Yes.
Kind of. What does that give you some confidence coming in here, knowing that, hey, the biggest ladies tournament of the year in the state is in your home ballpark, per se?
Yes and no. So yes, just because it is my home center, but then again, no, just because then it is my home center thinking, okay, well, I would think, yes, I know how it plays, but then again, I would then overthink it because, it is my home center. So yes and no, because I don't want to overthink it because I know it is my house. But then it kind of eases my mind because, it is. But so I would say yes and no to that question.
Well, you had you always have a big following here to come and watch you bowl. That kind of has to make you feel kind of, good, about yourself, give you a little bit of confidence
For
too,
sure.
right?
Yes, and it makes me feel good. My mom's here, so, she's been kind of staying in with everything. So just getting her out a little bit always is nice. And having her, she's my biggest supporter, so it's always nice having her around.
So as you move into match play, single game, double elimination, how different in your mind is it from qualifying, and what's your plan of attack? Do you come out aggressive and try to take control of the match as you proceed through qualifying?
Yeah, see, match play usually always gets me, it seems like. I don't know what it is. Every time I always come out and I seem to get myself. So I'm just going to just stick with my game plan from game one, just kind of continue with that. So I'm going to take the practice, figure out where I need to be, and just head on, just kind of grind it out if I need to, and just make sure I make my spares, don't get in any tough situations, and just bowl my game.
Well, Shelby, you've done a great job so far, and I don't see anything holding you back in match play but yourself. So you don't forget about that. You just go out there and like you've totally planned already. One shot at a time. If it's out of your hand, it's history. You can't change it.
Right.
You just worry about the next one. So, yeah, I think you've got a good game plan, and just relax and have fun. That's the best part. And we're glad your mom's able to be out here today. That's awesome. And like you said, even though it's your home house, it's not the condition you're not used to bowling on. So you've done a great job of making the adjustments, and we wish you a lot of luck.
Well, thank you, guys.
Well, I know one thing is we let you get back to relaxing here, but, I know you're a very modest individual, but what's it like, in all reality, people come in here and you're the one that they think has the odds-on favorite. How do you take that, and use that to your advantage, but also not to be too overconfident? But they look at, you're one of the favorites coming in here every year, and you're knocking on the door every year. What does that feel like as a player?
It feels good, but then I also know, sometimes I don't want to take it as a bad thing, but it does make me feel good. But also makes me work hard every day at my game, so that makes me go in even just at league night, to take that as, extra practice and things to work on, or if I see something that's oh, okay, that's a little different, or this I need to work on, so I can come in on other days to make sure I keep up on that and, don't fall behind or anything like that. So I definitely take it as something very high when that happens. So it's very honoring to see that. So.
Well, you bowled phenomenally well in qualifying. You led the field by over 60 pins, and you're a lot of fun to watch, and we wish you the best of luck as match play starts here this afternoon. All right, Shelby New, your Squad 1 qualifying leader and hometown favorite, Mike. And
well, I mean, for somebody that didn't want to come over here and talk, I mean, she had it down. I mean, she's very comfortable, and obviously she's very talented on the lanes. But not only on the lanes, I mean, you talk about the right game plan. I mean, one shot at a time, you work hard, you do this. I mean, she's got all the boxes checked. I mean, that was an awesome interview.
Well, and it's, there's a lot of times, Mike, in your bowling days on the PBA tour where you had the target on your back. You were the hottest player on tour. Everybody knew they were going to have to go through you at some point in order to win a particular event, especially in a house you bowl well in.
Right.
She bowls really well here. This is her home center. And not only is it her home center and she's a talented player, but she's also one of the best ladies in the state. And sometimes you got to wonder, how do you take that as a player? And do you take that to your advantage, or does that put more pressure? To me, I think she takes it and is very confident with it and doesn't let it bother her.
Yeah, I know for me, bowling in Indianapolis was always the hardest thing for me to do when the tour would come to Indy, because I always put so much extra pressure on myself wanting to bowl well for the people that came to watch and all that. And I've always felt if I could ever win there, I could win anywhere. And when I won in 1984, I mean, I had a good start. I'd won a couple times, but I hadn't won in 3.5 years. When I won the 84 Indianapolis Open, I mean, there was such a weight lifted off me. And like I said, I felt I could win anywhere. I went on to finish second the next week, top 10. Then I won the World Open. And then the next year I won the first stop of the winter and I was Player of the Year in 85. So it's just, there's a lot of pressure you put on yourself. But like I said, the interview she just gave, I mean, obviously she's got the talent to do it. Now it's just getting over that hurdle. But she certainly seems to know what she's doing on that too.
Well, and you talk about winning at Woodland, kind of your home center. And they talk about the banners in the bar, right, or that the one area. And I had a conversation with E.J. Tackett, and now E.J.'s an Indiana boy, but he's from northern Indiana. But that was having a banner in that center because there's a lot of history inside Woodland Bowl, right?
Yeah.
is a big deal to him. And he says, I put more pressure on myself when we come to Woodland to bowl. And he came up short, this past year, bowled really well, but came up short. But, there is a sense of when you bowl in your home area that you really want to do well, right?
Well, there's other things that come into that. I mean, people want some time. People want time with you. They've known you, and they come out and see you and want to talk to you. So there's a lot of distractions involved, and you're worried about your family being taken care of, and so they're able to see and think. There's just so many other things that go along with it. So to be able to handle all those things and to still perform on the lanes. It's a feat. I mean, it's amazing. Just the pressure and the time consuming, and just to be able to concentrate on what you're doing out there.
Right.
It's like anything else. You've got to perform well, but you need to get some breaks. I mean, not everybody just throws it perfect every time.
Right.
I wish they did. But
and Ronnie Russell is another Indianapolis kid from Marion originally, but resides in Indianapolis area, and he always put a little bit of pressure on himself when the tour came to Woodland Bowl, because he knew there was, 30, 40, 50 extra people that strictly came there to watch him play.
And you feel responsible.
Right.
You do feel responsible, and you want to make sure they're enjoying themselves, and you're putting on a show for them, and they can keep going. So, I don't know. I never could find out how to just not put that pressure on myself. But
I think
it helps, though.
Yeah. Well, you probably think about your youth days too. Is any time when you're, like Shelby said, her mom finally, with all the health scares and the pandemic and thing going on, her mom doesn't come out of the house very often. She gets out of the house to come watch her bowl. As a young player, when your dad came to watch you bowl, there was a little more pressure internally because you wanted to perform well in front of your parents. Yeah. I'm sure it's no different for her now with her mom coming out to watch.
And it's probably given her a lift,
Right.
I know when I first started on tour, and my first show I made, my dad flew to Las Vegas to be there, and it's just, there's some places they took their time and money to fly out there to be there.
Right.
And so, it's just, but when it works out, it's the best thing in the world.
Absolutely. There's no bigger joy.
No.
And that's where you think about when EJ won the World Championship and that embrace with his father.
Yeah.
That's the true sign of everything.
Well, and EJ, he's obviously had some success. Not as much of success as he would like to have, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But with his talent, not only physically, but mentally, and the kind of person he is, he's going to make so much of a name for himself. Not that he hadn't already, but when he's done, and that's when you look at this. You look at it when he's done. Mm-hmm. He's going to have won everything that his dreams wanted himself to win, because he's that type of a person and he's got that type of talent, and we are so fortunate in this state to have him be a Hoosier and be part of this state, because he's a good guy.
Right.
I mean, he's a good person. He's good for our industry, and he's good for our state. So it's just one of those things that when you're doing it yourself and you're out there, the years kind of flow together after a while. But that's something when he looks back, when he's done, he'll have won and completed everything he's ever wanted to do.
And not a lot of people can say that.
No, there are not too many people that can say that. No.
We all want to, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the key is not to get caught up in it.
Right.
And it's hard not to, because when you're out on tour or you're doing anything you like to do, there are peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. What I always try to do was, narrow out the valleys and try to raise the peaks a little bit, It doesn't always work that way, though.
I'm sure there's a few books out there would tell you how to do that, right?
Yeah.
One of mine would be Bowling for Dummies, I think.
I'm not even sure I could figure that one out. But.
Well, 7 and 8, a little bit behind here as they've had some problems with lane 7. All the other bowlers look to be in their second game. Kim Woodall has a double in the 8th and 9th with 157 in the 7th. And now here's Alexis Cox on lane 7. She's got a spare in the 8th, and she leaves a 4-pin. That's the thing, though. You can sense a little bit of frustration on her part that she can't seem to be able to throw a strike, but you keep battling and you keep a clean game, and you got to think at some point in time. And that's the other thing, too, is when you get on a pair that gives you something, you better take everything from it you can get, right, when you're having only a 3 or 4 game qualifier.
Well, and it's one thing that makes it really hard is when you're not quite confident in what you're doing.
Right.
So then you don't pay attention to each shot. You kind of see yourself looking around and watching other things, and you got to get that point that you're confident in where you're playing and how you're throwing it. When you hit that sweet spot, then it's all upwards for you.
A little background on Alexis. She bowled for Purdue University, a talented collegiate player in her own right. So, again, a lot of young talent out here, too, as well. Jenny Ferguson, a two-time champion of this event, she's on 9 and 10. She bowled for Ball State back in the late 90s. I tell you, you see a lot of players that have some college experience do well in these type of events.
Well, the college experience, I mean, I never bowled collegiately, but I've been to some of the tournaments, and the amount of talent at those tournaments, if you can do well in those situations, yeah, you can do well in any situation. It's phenomenal, the amount of talent in the collegiate ranks.
Kim with a 10-pin, stubborn 10-pin on lane 7 here in the 10th. She's, spare strike, Mike. She's in the 220s.
Yeah, it's great game so far. I mean, she's thrown it really well. She missed the one single pin, and she left the bucket, but, I mean, she just missed by a little. I mean, so she's thrown it really well this first one. Trip to 4.
Hey, trip of 4. Chad, if you want to switch to 9 and 10 for us, we can kind of pick up 7 and 8 as they finish. Thank you, sir. This is Jenny Ferguson on lane 9, two-time champion of this tournament. Ooh, light mixer, 7-pin.
Yeah, good shot, though.
She started off with a double and now has gone 10-pin, 7-pin. And now let's see here. Off to your left will be Alexis on lane 8. She can strike here, Mike, and she can end up finishing with a clean 190, high 190 game here.
She left a solid 8 in the middle of that and a solid 10. And
comes in high with a 6-pin. Clean 189.
There are a lot of people that might take that game so far.
Kim Woodall strikes in the fill for 226.
Good start.
Now Kim bowled the first squad, and she finished at -4. So she's looking to build on that. And now the other, they're going to be about 5 or 6 frames behind, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So things will jam up here shortly.
The tough part is who's coming on this pair has
They've been set.
They've been waiting now for about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it works two ways. If you're bowling well, then you don't want to do that. But if you're bowling bad, you definitely don't want to sit there and have to get loose again. So,
right.
And you're going to a pair you haven't bowled on yet.
Right.
So now you're definitely you have to let your ball be your guide, but you've got to make a good shot so you don't waste it.
Well, and Alexis's game is every reason of the importance of spares, right?
Yeah.
I mean, clean 189.
But she left stuff she could pick up, too.
Right.
There's several games across here we've seen that they're not leaving anything they can pick up.
Yeah, she had a couple of 7-count spares in there, but a lot of 9 spares. And, you miss 2 or 3 of those, and all of a sudden you're looking at 150 in the face.
Yeah, unless you get a 3 or 4 bagger to get you back in the game. I mean, which there's not a lot of those out there yet. I mean, a few, but not many.
Right. All right, once now that those scores are in.
Great shot.
Jeff will be able to get some round 2, or I should say game 1, squad 2 score sheets out. Now going to get a look at Monica Hall-Meals, who's got the front 5. Now, she struggled on lanes 3 and 4.
Yeah, she struggled big time on 3 and 4.
Now, all of a sudden, you get to a pair that gives you a little more friction, right? And so when I always felt like, if you in a 3 or 4 game qualifier, you're going to hit a pair that's not going to give anything, but you're also going to hit a pair that's really good. And I always felt like I had to get everything I could on that pair that was good.
Great shot for 6 in a row. But that's the other thing, too. You have a game like that where you struggle. To be able to come over to the next pair with no practice and start with the front 6, mentally you got to be in the right spot, and obviously Monica is. And she's a great asset, has helped, youth bowlers all around the state, and just, a great person to have in the bowling industry, not only as a bowler but also, as someone who works in the industry.
I'm going to say 9 and 10 must be a pretty good pair. Now here's Jenny Ferguson with a strike in the 5th. She's in the 6th frame on lane 9. Monica's got the front 6 on this pair. Oh, solid 10 pin. She has no luck right now.
Well, she's thrown 3 pretty good shots on that pair. 3 pretty good shots that all could have struck. That was probably the better one of the bunch.
Now she's going to try to convert the 10 pin. So right now, the other bowler on, I'm not sure who that is, but she's got open spare 4-bagger. So plenty of strikes to be had on 9 and 10, and then Jenny misses the 10 pin. And I'm going to show you here, Mike. I want you to watch Kayla Bird here on lane 8. And she throws it extremely well. Now let's hope I don't have the announcer jinx.
Well, you're 1 for 1 on that already, so we'll have to see.
I didn't realize you were counting.
I can count to 1. Wow, she throws it really well.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I didn't have to say much about that. That was pretty evident. Wow, what a great shot.
That was 10 back.
Yeah, she doesn't leave any lift in the bag. I mean, that was perfect. What a shot.
A lot of power in that release.
Yeah, there wasn't nothing going to stand on that.
We're going to have a lot of fun shots to watch here with her on 7 and 8. All right. Monica string ended at 6. She went 9 spare in the 7th. Now you're at that point where you just want to finish the game out strong.
Yeah, I think was it her that we looked at how she finished her squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she started out, struggled the first 2 games, but had 2 good games.
She went 250, 230.
Yeah, so you're wondering, okay, why was she bowling this squad? But I think it's that way she was probably wondering, okay, are they going to be like the first 2 games or are they going to be like the second 2 games? I think she's trying to, for herself, to get herself prepared for the match play. So,
look there at Dana File on lane 6. Dana she finished strong with a 247 game. Her first squad, she was at plus 36. Leaves the 2-8 on lane 6. She's got 134 in the 7th with a strike in the 8th. So she's on a 2-0 pace here, or 190 pace, I should say. She can go 2-0. Not sure where she's at after game 1. Hopefully Jeff will get those score sheets out here soon.
Good spare. Good spare. Yeah, you can see the 2-8s, and you can see the ball want to scoot a little bit if you get that, if you sailed a little bit, but you keep it in that. I think you can keep it in play, keep it around that track, around the second arrow, and be able to hit the pocket.
Yeah, if you're going to swing to that spot, you better make sure you got the speed right.
Yeah.
Stephanie Duncan with a front 3 there, and a nice strike on lane 7, just off to your right. Now here's Dana File on lane 5. Spare in the 9th, 10th frame. That needs to hook up, and wobbler 7.
It looked like it was leaning backwards, didn't it? See, I thought she was going to leave a 2-pin on that too. It looked like it wanted to scoot, but boy, that certainly recovered enough to give it a chance. So she's very close. I mean, she's right on the edge of having it.
Now off to your right here will be, the ball will be coming down lane 8. It would be Stephanie Duncan. And she leaves a flat 10. Now we're back over to, Chad, if you want to flip over to Monica Hall Meals on 9 and 10. And Dave Small, proprietor here at Championship Lanes, coming in. Say hi.
See they.
And Monica Hall, trips the 10.
Good shot.
She's now 189 in the 7th with a double. She's got a nice game working there, already in the 250s.
Yeah, great shot. And that it's just amazing after watching her struggle that first game, and then all of a sudden, just right from the start, hitting the pocket and striking. That's an awesome start.
These girls have something going. You always hear the golfers, on the PGA Tour, and they get a threesome, and they're all playing well. They all kind of feed off one another, and
well, it keeps your timing, your speed is even and the same, and the adjustments don't have to be made for starting and stopping. If you get a good cross with the bowlers on the pair, that's very important.
Well, Jenny Ferguson, after that whiff 10-pin, throws a 3-bagger. Morgan Johnson is the other girl on their pair. And she was minus 29 in her first squad, but she's got a nice little game going too. She's got 220 out there. And now Monica Hall-Meals could strike out for a 279. All of a sudden,
it'd be the highest game so far in the tournament.
She would forget about her first game right away.
Yeah. You get healthy real fast with one of those.
That's looks high. In. And looked like she kind of grabbed that one a little bit.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to miss right.
Yeah, it's one of those where you try to strike before your third step. It just everything's too fast. But makeable spare.
Yep.
Get out of there with a big game.
6-10. Morgan Johnson now on lane 10. Nice strike there.
Pretty shot.
That'll put her in the 2 teens. Now she's looking for 220 on her next ball. And she makes the spare. Well, that's going to put her in the 250s. I'm going to guess that's going to move her up the leaderboard.
Yeah, that'll make up for the first game for sure.
And here we go. So the top scorer, Mike, in that squad was Michelle Beeson at 234. Jenny Ferguson shot 226. So there's a, trying to think here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 scores of 200 or better in that squad. Right now, the cut score would be plus 15. Let's see where some of these ladies.
What did Monica shoot the first game? Do you have that?
Monica is not on this list. So we'll have to figure out if we can ask Jeff to get us a
total run
overall. But she's not on here, so it was worse than 182, and I'm thinking it was probably in the 150s or 60s.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it was going to be about that as well. Yeah.
So if let's say she shot 159,
she's plus.
She's now plus 16.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a great comeback. Wow, what a gorgeous shot that was.
Great pitch there by Kayla Bird.
Yeah, beautiful shot.
Jenny Ferguson with
a
stone 9-pin. Oh, man, man.
Man, beautiful ball.
Saw the head pin coming off the sidewall. I thought it might knock it out and just went behind it.
She's in the 2 teens with a spare, but boy, what a game she's thrown. I mean,
she's left 3 10-pins and a 7.
Man, what a shot.
Excuse me, 2 10-pins, I believe, and a 7, and now a stone 9.
And that was on a 3-bagger.
Yeah, she's looking at, 230 if she gets.
Yep.
Well, Monica Hall shoots 253, Morgan Johnson 215, and if Jenny can get a strike fill, she'd be at 215. So obviously 9 and 10.
Yeah, that's a good
9 and 10 might be a good pair, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, Kayla just rips the rack there for a double.
Great shot.
Here's another situation where there's just 2 of them bowling on a pair, right? You can kind of get. You talked about rhythm early.
Yeah.
This is where you get the ultimate rhythm, right?
Yeah, and it's worth this kind of rhythm where you only have 2 that you can have a good rhythm. It's worth waiting on the next pair just because you're going to be bowling faster. but it's worth it to do this and then wait on the next pair. You know, if you get there early and you have to wait, it's better to go ahead and do this every game than it is to be able to just go right there and start.
And both ladies are playing pretty similar lines.
Yeah, I would imagine they can line up off each other as well.
Oh, a
solid 8.
Stone 8 by Stephanie Duncan.
Well, she took that a lot better than I think I would have, but
she's laughing on the outside, but you know,
what a beautiful shot, and that was on a double. What a great shot, man!
You know, she's still got a solid game going here.
Yeah.
When she's laughing with Kayla about it, but you'll see her right off to the left side of your screen here, and she coming into the picture. Now you just don't want to miss it, right?
No, yeah, you got to keep your mental game going, and just it's once it's out of your hand, it's over. Just deep breath and pick up your spare and move on. Great shot, though.
You know, you're thinking, boy, you get that one right there, and you're cruising right along to a huge game.
That's in. Beautiful shot.
Nice pitch there.
Good speed.
Now she's working on a 3-bagger. But you can, you know, like you're saying, though, you can kind of get a nice little rhythm. There's not a lot of delay between your shot and then the next one that you take, right?
Yeah. It's just like practicing with a partner. You know, you're just there and you're doing your thing, and you get a nice rhythm going, and, you know, you can't beat that. Especially the two ladies look like they get along really well. They throw the ball similar. So there's so many positives to this matchup.
Oh, Stephanie just rips the rack.
Yeah.
Got a nice game over here, Mike, on 3 and 4. Looks like maybe Linda Burns over here. She's got strikes from the 6th through the 11th. Looking to finish her game out. She'd be in the 230s. You're starting to see maybe some. She rolls it really nice.
Yeah,
boy, she just shreds the rack. 238. Shot. You're starting to open it up a little bit here. Oh, another gorgeous shot.
You know, I don't know, opening up or smoothing out. You know what I mean? It's the point where they're keeping it online if they want, maybe with a little bit of belly out there to bring it back from. But it just looks like you can rely on what you think the ball's going to do. Where, you know, the first time when they're out there bowling, you're still got pretty sharp back in and clean, and sometimes you don't always get the reaction that you think you're going to get. Now they're taming down a little bit, but there's some great shots being made out there right now.
And now Stephanie Duncan off to the left side of your screen in the 10th frame with the strike in the 9th. That looks pretty good. Oh, wobbler 4-pin, almost a 4-9.
Yeah.
Still a 220 game, Mike, is still a solid game.
Yeah. That's what the match play is going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be really interesting, especially with some of these pairs look like they're scoring pretty well.
Well, you talk about the PBA just coming off their playoffs, and there was a lot of conversation on the bowlers saying it doesn't matter who you bowl, it's when you bowl them. When do you hit that particular player and he gets really hot? Yeah. I think there was one match where a player started off with, I think it was Anthony Simonson against Belmonte, or not, maybe not, but he started off with the front 7 or whatever. It's just when you hit that particular player at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little more. It's probably not as different as it was way back when. As you know, it's more with all the social media and the more bowling we're starting to see on TV and on flow bowling and things like that. It becomes, you know, more of a discussion point where it probably, I think it was the same way back when I bowled. It's just there wasn't many eyeballs on it.
Right.
So, but it does. But you know, and especially in a Masters type format or any kind of match game format, it does become when you bowl somebody sometimes. You know, yeah, I think it's probably just a little more microscope on it nowadays than there was before.
Well, Kayla got a little inside target and crossed over, left just the 5-pin. She can make this and still shoot a 228 game with a strike fill. Stephanie finished with 224, so a couple of solid games here for the ladies here on 7 and 8. And she converts the spare. I mean, really, for Stephanie, what could have been? I mean, she was on a string and left a stone 8-pin, and she could have really had a game in the 240s very easily.
Mm-hmm. Both ladies threw it really well in this pair.
Now again, the Stonehenge pattern will give some high scoring. Now, Jeff did tweak it a little bit so to try to temper that a little bit, but we should still see some really good scores if the players are throwing it well.
And you can kind of see that out there. You can see the look.
Oh, wow, what a messenger that was.
It's about making good shots, you know. Yeah.
Saw that to the right side of your screen. Allie Clayton now on lane 6. Crystal Bunton on lane 5. Crystal had a good series going in the first squad and finished with a 164 to go -12. She was 40 over going into the last game and really struggled.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Natalie Tackett on 7 and 8. Last year, Natalie, I believe, was the #1 seed in match play. She just ran over everybody in qualifying, kind of like what Shelby did in the first squad. So Natalie's a left-handed player, so we're kind of biased to her, right? You know, just kind of lefty row right here in press row. You, myself, and Chad all left-handed, you know.
I didn't want anybody to know that about me, but, you know.
You know, we woke up one day and looked in the mirror wrong. And
you're dealt certain cards that you just can't change, you know. Now, I could throw it right-handed. It would not be pretty, trust me. You know,
Uh-oh. Look how they're going to set those right in front of you.
Here, let me move those. Yeah. They look wonderful, and thank you to Championship
Oh, and they're
Lanes.
warm.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. They're warm. They're going to fall right apart, Chad. I didn't even have lunch. You guys ate lunch.
We warned you. We warned you about that.
Well, we want to thank Angie Collop, the GM of Championship Lanes. They do a phenomenal job hosting. Obviously, Dave Small, the proprietor, stopped by to say hello, and they do a fantastic job hosting not only the Queens but the Indiana State Masters. Just kind of like the same thing that you and Scott for Mike Olby's Arrowhead Bowl, how you guys host the Scratch Classic. And
well, you know, any time Angie's involved or you're at one of Dave's center and Dave's involved, you need to go. I mean, it's an event. They take care of you, and it's run very well. Once again, in another area in this state of Indiana, you know, we are taken care of by the people that are in it, and that's Dave and Angie do a great job.
Well, you know, it's kind of nice. You know, your center and this center is basically just east and west of one another.
Yeah,
right?
not too far. Yep.
You know, 95 minutes apart or so.
Ooh.
Natalie Tackett through the face.
Yeah, a little high.
Leaving the 2-4-7-10 split. It'll be interesting to see what scoring. I don't see her on the sheet, so obviously she didn't shoot that great of a score. She shot less than 182, so she might be leaning on squad 1 total here. Oh,
great shot.
Comes out of the back pit and gets the spare. You know, here's the other thing too, Mike, is she's bowling with EJ's mom. So there's a little bit of comfort. It's almost like they say you get a good, you know, the PGA.
Yeah.
You get a good cross, or you get a good group or a good guy to play with that's even
You're
keel.
comfortable with them, and you're comfortable. You know them. You know what they do, how they do it. Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Well, here's Allie Clayton on lane 6. She's working on a strike in the 3rd, going into the 4th frame. That's inside a target.
Yeah, it's left.
Fortunate to leave just the 6-10. Announcer Jinx. Works every time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you can kind of see it because if you miss a little to the right, it wants to wiggle a little bit, unless you've got enough hand in the ball to get it back. So you can see why certain players are having to start it up towards the head pin, and then when you do that, then you get into trouble with wanting to go high.
Allie here going to try to pick up the spare. Ooh, fortunate.
She'll take that. Yeah, she's happy with that.
Yeah, you quickly run off the approach after that one, don't you?
Just move on. Yep.
Now we're over here on 9 and 10. Linda Burns, who had a solid 238 her first game on this pair. You wonder too, Mike, I always felt when I'm playing right before match play, I always thought those guys or girls that bowled right before match play, you're a little warmer, you're a little looser. A little advantage in that, Shelby's going to come in a little bit on the, not say cold side, but, it's going to be a few hours before she bowls again. Could there be any
I mean, there's two thoughts.
Benefit to that?
There's two thoughts to that, obviously. I think with her, she already figured out what she did. To bowl this squat again just to stay loose, I mean, there's more risk than there is reward there because, she could get to the point where she starts doing something or she's not seeing the same thing she saw last time, so her confidence level drops. I mean, the way she spoke to us, I mean, she had a game plan. She executed it. There was no need for this round. So I say for her, she probably made the right call on that. Now, if you had any question or any doubt at all and felt like you weren't quite comfortable with what you've seen so far, yeah, you need to be out here doing it and trying to figure out some more things that might work for you in match play. But yeah, it's no matter what decision you do, you've got to have the confidence in that decision that you're 100% agreeable with what you just decided.
Right.
If there's any hedge in that at all, then it just doesn't work out either way. It's like switching bowling balls to a different bowling ball when you're going to try to make a change. If you don't believe this is the ball that's going to do it, you're not going to throw it crisp and enough to give you 100% confidence that's the one. So you're better off not making that move.
Got to have some conviction with that, right?
Exactly right. Well, I knew you'd have better words for what I was trying to say.
That's few and far between. Good look at Natalie Tackett off to your left. Now after that split conversion, she doubles now with strikes in the second and third frame.
Yeah, that was a great shot there.
And Linda Burns shot 215 her first game and 238 her second, so she's plus 53. So she's in solid shape.
Yeah. And, moving across the house, we've seen, like looking at 9 and 10 this time, the games that were shot last game on 9 and 10, we're not seeing that yet, so maybe it's not the pair.
Right.
Maybe they were just lined up.
Angie Tackett with a strike.
We see where the Tackett boys get that game they've got. She throws it well.
In a total bowling family, Angie and her husband, obviously proprietors
exactly.
of the bowling's Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana. Zach Tackett, EJ Tackett Bowl, Natalie Bowls. So obviously bowling a big part of that family.
Yeah, we're so fortunate they're Hoosiers like the rest of us and part of our industry, and you can't say enough good things about that family.
Notice you keep nudging that plate of cookies over to my left.
Well, left or right. I mean, either you or Chad got to start eating here. So
Chad gives him the thumbs up, I believe, on those. Yeah. Well, it's definitely every time you go down to the snack bar here, the food in Championship Lanes is really good, fantastic.
And the remodel has been awesome. I mean, 100% perfect.
And they got those cookies over there baking, and it's like, man. So Angie knows.
It's like the popcorn. It's all about the smell. You got to get draw everybody in with the smell. So
that's why if you ever you drive by a Texas Roadhouse and you see the smoke from the steak grill, and then you can just smell it a mile away, and it's like, boy, just
there's some focus room somewhere that dialed that in. Yeah, I agree
rope
with
you
that.
in.
Yeah.
Linda Burns with a strike.
Yeah, she's just throwing it awesome.
Well, we're almost about halfway through game number 3. We should have some scores here soon. Now, obviously, Mike, as a proprietor and you have more vested interest just in bowling, you have your skating rink down in the Carmel area. How is this pandemic, and as we proceed through it, obviously the state's pulling back a little bit and we're going backwards, unfortunately. How big of a concern as not only owner of a bowling center but another business is that to you, and how do you see things moving forward?
Well, I mean, it's a concern, obviously, in a lot of respects. I mean, the concern is for your staff, your customers, your business. I mean, and every day is different because you've got to be ready for, and now that numbers seem to be not creeping up, they are up. And so now you worry about your staff and, once again, your customers, but how you deal with that. We continue to do, we have the electrostatic sprayers, which help with all the cleaning and sanitizing. We pull the bowling balls off the racks, and they're back behind the counter, the rental balls or house balls. So we take immense concern with how we do that and how we cleanse and keep the place clean. But, a lot of things past that is out of your hands. I mean, it's up to the governor and even now it's a county issue. So we're no longer in stages by the state. So, and that information changes weekly, if not almost daily. So you've got to be ready to make those changes and make those moves. This past week, we've worked on our schedule of our leagues and how we can spread those out a little better. And so you continue to make changes, and you've got to stay on top of it. We're fortunate in this state that we're able to be open and have a fighting chance of keeping our business. I have friends around the country who have a lot of money invested, and a lot of people work for them. In New Mexico, they haven't even started bowling yet since March. California, it's by the county. Several centers have either closed already for good, or they haven't been able to open yet. So, and there's different degrees of, way you're able to open. I think Nebraska just cut back to 25%. So there's certain numbers. It doesn't matter if you're open or not. You can't pay the bills. So it's very discouraging. It's very I guess it's distressing. But the whole pandemic is for everyone. So everybody has something they're dealing with. We're just trying to have a fighting chance to give people something to do safely and still be able to come through this on the other side of the tunnel. So
yeah, we talk about the COVID obviously being a kind of an unknown. It treats everyone differently, right? There's but we're also concerned about the mental well-being of our people too as well. And what's worse, right, at this standpoint?
Yeah,
and,
I mean, that's the question for sure.
But the heartbreaking thing, and obviously, we're in a bowling center, we're at a bowling tournament, so we're going to talk more about the sport of bowling. But what's heartbreaking is when you talk about centers that close for good, it's for good. They're not coming back.
Yeah, and it's not just the center, it's the people that work there, that owned it. I mean, it's far-reaching.
Yeah.
And now you've taken a community place that has, as you can imagine, just anybody that's listening is obviously a bowling fan. You take your center out of play forever, and what kind of void is that in that community?
Right. You quickly learn, wow, how many things you take for granted, not only as a consumer, but in entertainment and everything else. And, Lafayette had a old center, originally Star Lanes.
Yeah.
It was Mustang Alley, but it had been in Lafayette since 1950, and it closed their doors for good this year.
Very impactful, not only to, the family, Holly, and what is. I've known Holly a while, but what a great community asset that is that we no longer have. And it's a bowling asset. So that's, you can only hope that the people who were involved there continue on with the game. They may not.
Right.
And those are the problems that also exist. I mean, we're down bowlers, obviously, and any center across the state is probably down bowlers. When this gets better, are they coming back?
Right.
Those are all things we don't know. And it's nice to be, whether it was last week during the Scratch Classic or it's this at the Ladies Queens, to have some normalcy. And you can see that even though it's a competition, the competitors are enjoying it.
Right.
And they're able to get lost in normalcy for a little while anyway. And that's what, at least we're still able to do some things. There are some limitations, but hey, we're able to do it.
Well, and we already talk about, bowling, like you made a great point. Just because a bowling center closes and that particular town has one or two more centers, and let's use Lafayette as an example because it just happened. You made a great point because there's no guarantee that the people that have bowled in that center their whole life are just going to go to another center. A lot of times, and even you as a proprietor, and I had a conversation with Dave Small about it once before, and he had another center in his area closed that he owns one in. There's a small percentage of those bowlers will go to the other center, right? They just quit.
Yeah,
and
they're not there
that hurts the sport.
Oh, yeah. You hate to lose any sitter, but ones who were – the people were good operators and to no fault of their own lost the business. And that's the thing with Mustang Alley. I mean, they did everything they could do. I mean, it's just, when you can't open, I mean, it's hard. And I don't know. It's just, it's frustrating. It's uncomfortable. There's too many negatives to go through it. But you just hope that, we're all fortunate that this thing goes away quicker than we hope, sooner than later, and that we all come out on the other side of it healthy and ready to get back to life that we recognize, but we know people's lives have been changed forever.
Yeah, and it's just like in anything, there's going to be some sacrifices made, right? And you just hope it's not a lot of them. And
right.
You're just trying to hold on to whatever that you're familiar with, because these small businesses really they take a beating when these things happen. And
the things you do now to make sure people feel safe, it's not window dressing. It's so that they are safe, and
right.
And you do the sanitizing, the cleaning, all those things, the social distancing, the wear the mask, please. Those type of things you're doing so that people are safe, and they're not cheap.
No,
you've got to continue to do those.
Right.
Like I said, it's not window dressing. It's because it needs to be done, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and you talk about and I'm not making light of it, but I was like, man, if I just would have invested in plexiglass, about 12 months ago.
Well,
how
everybody has that. Yeah, no,
absolutely.
That's exactly right.
And people don't realize that's expensive.
Yeah.
So when you're changing your facilities to abide by these new mandates, it's not. It comes at quite of an expense.
Well, and you've got we have the electrostatic sprayers, which actually an electrostatic sprayer, you spray an item and it helps with the electric charge. It envelops the item you sprayed, so it just doesn't hit the top of the surface. It'll evolve around that surface, so it's sanitized the entire piece. Those start at $700 a piece. So we have a few of those. We have backpack sprayers. You buy the new cleaner that can kill the viruses. It's just there's more. We've added more people to be able to do that as well. So you've got more man hours involved, and so there's a lot to it. But that's the price of doing business in this day and age. And if that's what it takes for us to be a part of the community and help in any way we can, I guess that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Well, we got a front seven from Kayla Bird over here.
Well, she was throwing it well enough the last game we watched in front of us here that's not a big surprise.
Right.
She has definitely got it figured out. She's throwing it well.
Yeah, she'll be going into the 8th frame. And they're on 13 and 14, right, Chad? Yep. We might be able to have to move a camera, angle that over there. You'll see 13 and 14 off to your far right. She'll be bowling on 14. Again, we're going to be waiting on scores. I would assume Jeff would have those up here pretty soon. Kind of give you an update on right in front of us, too, on 7 and 8. We have Natalie Tackett with 158 in the 7th with a strike in the 8th and 9th frames. And now we're going to see Kayla off to the far right of your screen going into the 8th frame here. Comes in high.
Breaks it down. Yeah, breaks it down, though.
Leaves the 3-pin. But still off to a great start here. And now Linda Burns here on lane 9. Mike, she's working on a double in frame 7th and 8. So she's on a 220 pace here. Remember, she's 53 over after 2 games. Big shot.
Beautiful shot.
Man, she trips the 9th pin.
She's been throwing the ball very well last couple games. Just right on target.
That needs to hook. Oh,
wow.
She rips the rack.
Can opener there. That's a great shot.
What's amazing, too, is she doesn't even look nervous, you know. I always felt like, too, if you had a good ball reaction, that really makes things, your arm swing gets.
It loosens the swing up. Yeah, it does loosen the swing up.
When you're trying to hit a 1-inch spot, well, it's hard to get loose, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you become very tight.
And Kayla spared in the 8th. Now Natalie here. She'll be off to your left on lane 7. You'll see the ball come into play right now. That looks good too. Flat 7. As Randy would call quitter 7.
She made some good shots this game, though.
She's going to be in the 230s.
Yeah.
So a solid game. I'm not sure what she shot game 2.
Yeah, she made some good adjustments. Had a couple of flush hits. You know, can opener shots. I mean, she threw it very well this game.
All right, wanted to take a quick look at Natalie's score sheet. And she went 182, 216, 236. So
very solid first 3 games.
She's 34 over. She finished her first round qualifying at plus 13, so
she's got opportunity to best that.
And now Linda Burns here on lane 10. She's working on a 3-bagger. First shot in the 10th frame. This would put her in the 230s with the first one. Another spare in the 9th frame for Kayla Bird. She crosses over, leaves the 610. Still 220 would be a solid game. And plus 25 right now, it looks like after 2 games, would be your cut score overall. So scores, again, creeping up.
Good spare.
Well, that'll put her, with a good fill ball, will put her in the low 220s. This is one of those, too, where you got to try to get 9 or better.
Yeah, you just keep your concentration up. You went a little high last time. Let's get back on it, back on our string here and start make more shots into the pocket. But, yeah, she's had a solid first 3 games.
I wonder if Jeff forgot about us after game 2. I'm going to go in the tournament office and see if I can.
Nice.
Be nice to your elders, right?
Starting to make the turn, everyone. Going into game 4. Somebody dropped it. They didn't throw it. Well, the 4th and final game, this is the one that you need to have a good, solid start. So, you know, it's easy to have yourself pressing at the end of a game when you're trying to make the cut. So this is one you want to make the first shot and second shot when you're bowling on the first time on each lane so you can make good adjustments off of it.
Would you believe he forgot about us? All right, scoring after game 2. Kimberly Woodall is leading this squad with a 458. She's tied with Susan Karate, who went 192-266, the highest game of the tournament right now. And trying to get an idea of, looks like another spare 4.
Solid 10, yeah. Solid 10 to 10.
That's going to put her in the 250s, at least. So right now, let's see what we have. Linda Burns at plus 53, and she just shot 219. So she's going to be plus 70 after 3. We also have Tanya Vincent at plus 42, Jenny Ferguson at plus 41, Kayla Bird at plus 41. So she's going to be 90 over now after 3, Kayla Bird is. Then we're going to have Michelle Beeson at plus 35, Samantha New at plus 33, Faith Hall, Faith Hill is a country singer, Faith Hall at plus 16. And then we got April Herman at plus 9, Monica Hall Mills at plus 6, Cammie Devine at plus 5, but she just struggled here. She just shot 152, so she's in trouble. Alexis Cox, who went clean 189, she shot 215, so she's plus 4. Melissa Mollett at plus 3. Alexis Carter went 158, 244, she's plus 2. So right now, plus 25 is your cut at Faith Hall. And then you also have to take out anybody that's in there twice. Some of the ladies have bowled 2 squads here, but again, it's going to be, you're going to come to that last game or 2, and it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, the scores look to be a little better, but not necessarily. If you remember, most of the girls this is their second time around, so they on this condition, so they're going to have a little bit of a leg up, knowing a little bit of what's going to happen out there. So that's why you might see the scores are maybe a little bit up, but not necessarily. It's been a pretty good scoring pace for both squads.
Let's see what we have here on our TV pairs. We have newlywed Jerica Gray. Jerica and Jordan just were married a few months ago. Who else do we have on our pairs as we finish out qualifying? Allie Clayton is down on, so we're going to have Allie Clayton again, Crystal Bunton in front of us. Looks like a lot of the bowlers that have bowled really well are going to be down on the high end of the house. Faith Hall is down on 3 and 4. We got football on in front of us. What more can you ask for, Mike?
Yeah.
What more can you ask for?
I'm getting confused with so many TVs up there.
Said no guy ever, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
When do we ever complain about having too many TVs, right? It's funny when you think about, this is going to be a random thought, but when you were younger, I mean, it was unheard of if you had 2 TVs in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, most
One in
houses
a
have,
room.
I mean, yeah,
Every room.
There's 6 or 7 in now in there.
Oh, you have to, and your phone. Don't forget your phone.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy when you think about it.
Well, that's the other thing about Championship Lanes here and the newly remodeled bar in there. I mean, wow, what a gorgeous venue in there. Talk about TVs. There you go. I mean, it's awesome.
Pretty much cover everything in a sporting day.
Yeah, they've done a great job in there.
The only thing I'm going to say I'm slightly disappointed, I don't see the Masters up there anywhere. I'm not going to complain to the owner. We got plenty of great stuff in front of us here watching these lady bowlers from the state of Indiana battle their way to a Queen's Championship. Going to take a look here at Jerica Gray on lane 6. That one read real early.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be good. It looked like it was right where she wanted to be in that part of the lane, but just wanted to break loose high.
Well, you know it's going to come down to executing in the 9th and 10th frames in order to make this top 16. It's going to be very competitive and close.
Yeah, last thing you want to do is get yourself in trouble early when you need strikes under the pressure, because the condition is difficult enough that you can't get away with just an errant shot. I mean, you've got to be accurate. The speed needs to be close, and you've got to get the right revolutions on it, or it's not going to make that recovery.
And Jerica here going to give a shot at the 610. Going to go straight at it with plastic, and boy, she would have made it if you thrown the 7-pin up, I think.
Yeah.
And you never do that when you have the
When you
6,
need it,
7,
yeah,
10.
no.
You know, how many times does the 7 or 10 pin bounce out and go across and would have taken it? Yeah. If you'd have had them both set up there, you'd have made it. But
there's always a fun one when you shoot the 4-7-10 or 6-7-10 and it goes in front of the 7 or the 10, and then you think, I did all that effort for 9?
That's a real gut punch.
Yeah,
Isn't
it is.
Tammy Mark was on 9 and 10 too. She had been bowling well. She bowled the first squad and went plus 10. So, but I don't see her 2-game total in the top 32. So
we're aiming for 16th place, correct?
Yeah, plus 25 right now. Faith Hall, who is bowling again. She's down on 3 and 4. So immediately, if she betters that, we're going to take her name out, and you would go up 1. I didn't think it would get to plus 30, but it very well could.
Yeah, even the first game, I was thinking it didn't look like anybody was really throwing strikes, but boy, there's been a great adjustment out here.
And you'll quickly be able to see who's bowling really well and who's not, because the frustrations and
in that last game, you can tell who's still in play and who's not. Yeah,
who's like, I'm so ready to get home.
Yeah,
that's the worst feeling in bowling.
Yeah, and it's important, obviously, if you're in that position, to continue to get up there when it's your turn and do the best you can, because you have, your competitors could be around you and being in contention, and so it's just it's an opportunity to just good sportsmanship and not getting away, basically, I guess is the right terminology.
Well, I always was one where I wanted to battle all the way till the end and try to build off of something too.
I don't know how many times I'll agree with you. And one I go back to for myself, and it wasn't me personally, but it was Steve Cook. And Steve Cook in 1981, the week before the Tournament of Champions, we were in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. The left side wasn't doing very well, which is fine. It happens, and that's okay. But you still work, and I think Steve thought I always did. You work as hard as you can because you never know when you're going to have an opportunity. Steve worked so hard. He ended up finishing 31st, and he bowled so well that week and just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then the next week, he's got the front 10 on TV to win the Tournament of Champions, in 1981. So that's when I always go through that said, you always keep digging no matter what your score is, because you don't know what's going to click, And when it clicks, you run with it.
Yeah, and I never was one that I could just not even try and you just absolutely bowl horrific. I was going to try to figure something out, because you could always learn a little bit of information, not only about your equipment, the lane pattern, but yourself too as well.
Because you're going to hit that condition again at some point. And so if you find something, then now all of a sudden that's another one you put back in your pocket that you might use the next time you see that condition and that. So yeah, you can still learn. You don't want to ever think you can't learn.
Well, the scoring is definitely going up. Kayla Bird is first in this squad at 699, plus 99. Kimberly Woodall shoots 229 game 3.
Wow.
She's plus 87. Linda Burns plus 72. Jenny Ferguson at plus 48. Samantha New at plus 44. April Herman right here in front of us is at plus 40. Natalie Tackett now at plus 34. Melissa Mollett at plus 26. And Faith Hall is still your cut score at plus 25. But get this, Susan Karate at plus 24. Teresa Smith-Dill, who I don't believe bowled this squad, she left.
Oh, she did
She's
decide
out
to do that.
at plus 23. I don't think she bowled again. And you know what? Judging by what the scoring pace was, I might have taken a chance on plus 23 myself. Faith Hall, who's bowling again, is at plus 17. So she is probably thinking, all right, I need to shoot 2-teen or better to improve my situation. So, again, very, very close because you have bowlers that are in this squad bowling again. Tanya Vincent at plus 11. Monica Hall Meals at plus 10. But she's in at plus 34, so you would have to take her out. Michelle Beeson at plus 3. Stephanie Duncan at minus 3, who's still could very well be in this. You know,
well, this is time. This is a time when you don't want to be a scoreboard watcher if you're a bowler.
Right.
If you're bowling.
Right.
Because this is the time when you want to give everything you've got, keep your head down, pay attention to what you're doing out there, make shots. You start looking at scoreboards, and now all of a sudden something's creeped into the side of your mental game that may distract you from the main job, and that's knocking 10 down.
Well, we're going to be on a pretty good pace here. It's about 2:43, 2:44 in the afternoon. The match play round will start at 4 o'clock. These should be wrapping up here around 3, so we should be starting somewhere pretty close to that time frame, maybe 4:15. So, but again, it's going to be a late evening because it's 16 women who are going to bowl double elimination. And we're going to bring you every round here live on Savage Bowling TV. Again, want to thank our sponsors. We can't thank our sponsors enough. Pinheads Bowling Center in Fishers, Indiana. David Slavin and Big Four Sox. Want to thank Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl. I know someone that works there. Motive Bowling. And we also want to thank Anderson-Madison County Visitors Bureau for their contributions to make this broadcast possible here on Savage Bowling TV. Scott Gilmore, Mike Alby in the broadcast booth. Chad Lester once again directing and producing and listening and eating chocolate chip cookies and all the good stuff. And he said he's only had one because
I don't know. There's
the
much
plate's
more missing
right
on the plate. I don't know.
The plate's right in front of you, Mike. I imagine there'll be less there when this round is over. We're going to be nice and not eat on the air.
You know, it's like you don't want to eat in front of people.
I know. But again, it's coming down to crunch time here. And it always does in these type of events. You know, a few pins here and there make a huge difference in the outcome of this.
Yeah, and this is where it gets a little tight. I mean, you got to, like I said, you don't scoreboard watch because the last thing you want to do on this condition is tighten up because it'll look a whole lot tougher than it really is, and it's not easy out there.
Looking over at Faith Hall, she just spared in the 5th. She's got 79 in the 4th. And remember, she's already in at plus 30. No, she's the cut score at plus 25. She's at right now plus 17. So she's looking to shoot 210 or better to improve that number because right now she's the cut score. Will it go up? Will it come down? That's going to be a great question as we proceed here through game number 4 of the final qualifying squad of the 2020 Indiana State Queens. Samantha New right here on 5 and 6 too, Mike. She's got a strike in the 5th, 79 in the 4th. She's right in there at plus 44 going into this last game.
Great shot.
And there's your double.
Yeah. Pretty shot.
Great shot there by April Herman. She's right there too at plus 40. She's got 133 in the 7th, so she's on a 190 pace. That would be enough right now based on what we see. However, we don't know what's going on the high end of the house, and there's a lot of the top players score-wise in this squad bowling down there.
Well, just watch Natalie Tackett down there. She has shooting 210. But she's just picked up the 3-9-10. Great spare conversion to stay clean. Still shooting 210.
When she's not out of it, she's not in the clear. She's plus 34.
Yeah.
You shoot a high 180 game and it could take you right out of it.
Yeah, I mean, she's in good position now. Just wants to keep making shots and filling frames.
They're down on, I believe, what is that, 13 and 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she went front three and then back-to-back splits, but picked up one of them.
Yep.
Tammy Markwa with a solid 10-pin on a strike. You can kind of tell, judging by her reaction, she really needed that one.
Yeah, she started a little tough on this pair, so that was to help get her back in the game.
I mean, she had a chance to shoot 210, and judging by what I'm seeing right now, she might be on the outside looking in. She was plus 10 in her first squad, and I don't see her, unfortunately, in the top 32 with her second qualifying squad. So she will not be advancing in this tournament. I will have to say, one of the greatest things in the history of tournament bowling have been, and I know the PBA started, are the name jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
And now you can understand why they're so important.
Well, and now it's not just a name on the back; they're personalized. I mean, the design, everything. So yeah, it's become a really cool event is to have the jerseys that represent whatever they're trying to get across. That's really cool.
Well, and I was Stephanie Duncan. She had her jersey and it had a bunch of pictures of all of her family.
I did see that. I saw that. Yeah.
So kind of cool.
I always thought it was cool. I used my signature on the back. I thought, wow, how innovative that was back in the 80s, right? Now you see this. The sublimation process has really improved that.
And you literally can do anything you want with a jersey. And Faith Hall now with the spare and the 8th. She's got 138, Mike. She can shoot 218, and she might need all of it. April Herman here. She'll be on the left side or right side of your screen next to Jerica Heibel, who just left a 10-pin. Here on lane 7, she has got a double 8th and 9th. 10th frame here. A strike would get her in the 210s. Oh, 10 back. Great shot.
Yeah, very good shot.
Big shot for her. Right now she is at, let me see, where is she at? April is plus 40, so that's going to probably lock her in.
Yeah, she's not going to lose any ground, I don't think, unless she holds her count. But I'm sure she'd like to get another one here to maximize this game.
Now, this next one would put her in the 220s. Oh, great shot.
Those are some really good shots. No doubts.
That's going to put her in the 660s. So I think she's comfortably in now.
Yep.
Nothing more satisfying than throwing a big shot when you really need one. And seeing the result through the pins. Because, that's been the knock on bowling for the Olympics is a perfect shot doesn't end in a perfect result.
Which, as we all know, there's always a reason why you leave that 10 pin.
Yeah. Little.
We don't like to agree with it at times.
Right. It's interesting. The pins know when you're tight.
That is for sure.
I mean, when you're tight, even though you hit the pocket, you don't always get that result.
Ball doesn't finish off right. Yeah, there's always something that changes it.
Nice series for April Herman. She'll finish with 661. Now here's a big spare for Samantha New here on lane 5. And she missed it. Oh my goodness. She's plus 44. She's still on a 190 pace, which I think would be enough. But you can't afford to give anything else away. Very quiet. It's amazing how quiet, much more quiet the Queens is compared to like the Masters.
Yes.
You know, you would never know if a lady needs a strike or not. It's just really quiet. Now we're looking back over at Natalie Tackett. It looks like she's got a double in the 7th and 8th frames, working in the 9th. She still has a chance for 250, I believe, out there.
Yeah, she's in the 220s now.
And Samantha New just left the what we call the rail, the 1, 2, 4, 7. This is not an easy spare. Chad, you want to flip back over to 5 and 6 for us, please? This is a big spare conversion for Samantha. And that needs to hook. Oof.
Good spare.
Good spare. That will keep her at least possibly in the 190s, and she might need to mark in the 10th frame.
And Natalie Tackett did strike for the 3 in a row. She's in the 230s as she sits going into the 10th frame now.
Now, big shot here for Monica Hall. Or Faith Hall, I'm sorry. And she does not get it. She's going to be in the 190s. Mike, she's going to have to sit. Faith Hall will have to sit on that 2 or plus 25 score. And matter of fact, even if she would have struck, she would have shot plus 24.
Oh, wow.
If she'd have struck out, it would have been plus 24. So she's going to have to sit on that 25.
Yeah.
Right now, she's the cut number. And kind of a tough, that's always the worst spot to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Sit and wait.
Kind of like in the NFL draft to be the last guy drafted, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you'd rather be a free agent.
At that point, all you want is a chance.
Right.
You know, you just want a chance.
We'll try to stay on the broadcast as long as we can until we get the final results. Once we get the final results, we'll take a break, and we'll be back on the air with the match play portion of the 2020 Indiana State Queens Championship. We're inside championship lanes, Anderson, Indiana, the location. Championship pair will be lanes 9 and 10. And what a shot there from Samantha.
Yeah, good shot.
And I think right there is going to keep her in the game. Even if she goes spare here and shoots 195, I think plus 39 is definitely in. And Jerica Gray finishing out her tournament. Unfortunately for her, she will not be advancing into the match play portion. Oh, leaves a 2-pin. So she's going to be plus 39 with a spare here. I think that's going to be good enough. I think if I'm 25 to 26, 27 over, I'm going to be a little concerned. Now, Natalie Tackett is going to increase her total. She's going to be probably somewhere in the plus 80s, maybe even the 90s. So there's the final ball for Samantha New. She'll finish with 195 and plus 39.
The ball return must be. Oh, had a pin in the channel. Yep.
All right, and now switch over to 9 and 10, and we'll get them out. Chad's going to move this over a little bit for us, and there's Natalie and the announcer Jinx. We move things over, and she
3, 5, 6.
Not a spare you want to shoot at, but a little bit easier for her mentally now that knowing, okay, I'm in the high 220s even if I do miss this.
Yeah, just a little quick with it. Ball just didn't get a chance to grip the lane a bit, but
yeah, I never felt seating was all that important.
No, you just get in. You get in. I mean, you obviously try to be as high as you can, but yeah, the key is to get in.
Right. Especially when the pattern is a little bit trickier, you felt like it's going to be tricky for both guys, right, or gals. So you figure out, you just get in. Seating doesn't all matter that much at that point. Good spare.
Yep.
So Natalie will be in the 230s. As long as she gets, I believe she's going to have to get 9 or better on this fill.
Yeah.
In order to get there. Strike, I think, would probably put her, I'm guessing, somewhere around 231.
231, correct. Yeah, I mean, good finishing game to get yourself in there.
Absolutely. I mean, right now you're plus 34, and, her last 3 games are going to be 210, 230, 230 potentially. You got to like the finish. Man, solid shot there.
Yep. 230.
Well, now we got to find out who else is going to make this cut. We're basically down. Linda Burns now throwing her final couple of shots. She leaves the 6'10" there. Linda was way up there at plus 72, so it'd take a horrific game to knock her out. But that was always one thing. You didn't want to look at what you had to have minimum, right?
Yeah, looks from here, I mean, she's got a couple of opens and no doubles, so. But I think she's still got enough.
Yeah.
She had enough extra in there to start with.
She had a 30 pin. Ooh, and she opened right there. I don't know if that was in the 10th or not.
It was.
That could easily be a game in the 160s. But even if she went 165, that's going to put her plus 37. You can't give much more away than that.
Yeah, I think it might be less than that.
And that could be trouble for Linda Burns.
It might be. It's a little out of my eyesight range. It looks like it might be in 140.
Mr. Pittman here behind me tells me that Monica Hall-Meals shot 255 her last game, so that's going to put her plus 65.
Well, she's had the opportunity to shoot some big games. So, one game match, when you can shoot those kind of numbers, I mean, that bodes well.
Well, that puts plus 24 in play.
140 last game.
That's going to knock her out. Oh, my goodness, that is tough.
Yeah.
To bowl so well your first 3 games, 215, 230, 219, to have the one game. You got to wonder sometimes, too, is that a little bit of pressure that might?
Well, I think, go back to a little bit of a discussion. You start out the last game with an opener or two, and then, all of a sudden that swing becomes tighter and tighter. And in this condition, I mean, that can really make it really narrow to find a spot to get yourself, safe, let alone throw strikes. And the last thing you want to do is try to play safe because, as you know, I need 8, you're going to get 7. It's just, you can't play that way.
Boy, and you're thinking for her.
She threw the ball so well all first 3 games we saw.
Yeah, but now she went from down here, at 3, 4, 5, 6 in that area where it's a little tighter, and you go into where it's a little more hooked.
Just enough, yeah.
It's just enough maybe to where she had hold down here, it was hooking down there. And sometimes for a lady, it's harder to move in and swing more. A lot of women like to play straighter, keep their angles in front of them. And
I think a lot of times, though, I think you just get caught up in that. It's, it becomes just a tight. You don't don't relax and do what you were doing that you're successful with. I think you get caught, especially when you get an open or two in the first 2 or 3, 4 frames, and it just puts the pressure just gets so hard that it's tough to make clean shots.
Yeah. We want to thank our viewers for watching qualifying here at the 2020 Indiana State Queens here inside Championship Lanes. Want to thank our sponsors, Pinheads Bowling Center in Fishers, Indiana, Dave Slavin and Big Four Sox, Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl in Lafayette, and Motive Bowling, and the Anderson-Madison County Visitors Bureau. Visit AndersonMadisonCounty.com. Want to thank those sponsors for their contributions to making this broadcast possible here on Savage Bowling TV. We're going to stay tight here, Mike, until we find out the final tally. And once we find out the cut score, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with they're going to redress the lanes, and we'll come back with the single or one-game double elimination format here. And should be very exciting.
Yeah, it'll be great because we've seen some big scores. I mean, we've seen single-game scores being very good. So nobody's out of it. Nobody's going to dominate enough in a one-game match, and so it's anybody's tournament.
A lot of storylines building here, as we do have some, Monica Hall Mills is a 2018 winner. She's going to be in the top 16. Local bowling star Shelby New and bowling in her home center here in Championship Lanes. She's going to be the #1 seed. Can she run the table and win her first championship here? And so many storylines. Jenny Ferguson was in the cut. We assume she still is. She's a 2-time winner of this event. Kimberly Woodall won it in 2016. She's in the cut more than likely. So a lot of storylines building here, Mike, as we get into the match play portion.
Well, and as you know, in a Masters format, I mean, you can shoot 250 and lose even though you beat all the other 15 competitors or 14 competitors, and you bowl the one person that bowls higher than you, you're out. So pins drop every game. It's just, it's just pressure after pressure. You're never out of pressure in this format. So, but you're never out of it either. So that's the key.
Right, and so important though in these tournaments, especially this type of format, to stay in that winner's bracket as long as you can.
Yeah, it maximizes the amount of games. I mean, it's the shortest route to the championship.
Right.
So it's very grueling to come from the loser's bracket because there are the extra games and extra pressure.
Right. Well, and think about this too. It's just one game. Imagine like the Masters, the state or the national Masters. It's 3-game total pin matches, and you lose that first round game.
I've done it both ways,
and it's an absolute gauntlet to get to the championship.
And we're talking, and in those events, you're talking a couple of days of that. So you start at 8 a.m. and you're there till 10 o'clock at night, and there is no break. If you're in a loser's bracket, there is no sitting out around because you're waiting for the next. You're in every match, and it, like I said, the pressure never goes away because you lose, you're out.
Well, and the one thing here too is in the Masters it's double elimination. This is double elimination, but the difference between the two, this one holds serve as far as the format is. If you're the undefeated player, the person coming out of the loser's bracket has to beat you twice. Well,
Yes.
in the Masters, it's just a one-game
On the TV show, right? Yeah.
step-ladder format, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was. Yep.
And big difference
Before
there.
before TV, it was not. It was that way, double elimination. But once TV came in, then you can't count on that extra 30 minutes of television.
Right.
So.
Always remember the ABC Bud Light Masters for years and years and years. We need to get those beer distributors back in on bowling,
exactly.
don't we?
We do. Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of beer being sold in bowling centers. So.
Darn right. We need to get those guys involved back in our sport. And I remember some of the great commercials back in the day of and they were bowling themed. Wasn't Don Johnson, was he in any of those?
No, I know Don Carter used to do
Carter
the Miller
was
Lite.
one?
Did
Yes.
the Miller Lite with all the other retired professional athletes, the football players, and they were in a bowling center bowling, and they sitting around the table and making fun of the different guys, and it was quite the group that they used to have, because we used to bowl in Tucson, and they would have Miller Lite sponsored it. Well, they actually had a couple of the guys from those commercials there. They had, I forget, was it Ted Hendricks, or he was a linebacker for the Raiders was there. They had just a bunch of the big football players who had the deep voices. It was really, really interesting. Bubba Smith was one, and you had all of them.
Well, and Bob Uecker made those commercials famous
great.
back in the day.
And they picked on him so bad in real life, from what I've heard in those stories too.
Some great commercials back in those days.
Very nice.
And to me, the golden age of commercials and TV and so forth, you can go back and watch those commercials. They're timeless, really.
Yeah, nowadays it seems like there's a commercial and they use the same one on every channel you go to. So it's just,
and that's the thing, too, is the beauty about YouTube, you can go back and watch those, right?
Oh, exactly, yeah.
And somebody has uploaded those. And I just, the beer commercials always stood out to me because they were, especially back in those days with Uecker and all the sports guys, Dick Butkus was in a lot of those. And they just, again, it was just.
Well, they made them fun. They made it enjoyable, and people could relate to them. And it was good.
You can call me Ray. You can call, you just go on and talk about those. But I always thought,
tastes great, less filling.
Yes, and we need to have those back in our sport. Again, like you're saying, the bowling centers, and there was always that stereotype. It was a bunch of beer drinking. Guys,
But I guess for me, I never took it that seriously as far as that goes to the bowling part of it. I always thought if they talked about us, they obviously they used bowling because they knew they could reach a lot of people.
Right.
Otherwise, they'd never use that as their theme, and they still do. It looks like the numbers are in.
All right, final tally in, and interesting. Shelby New is your number 1 seed at plus 119. Kayla Bird, your number 2 seed at plus 89. Jenny Ferguson, plus 71. Natalie Tackett jumps all the way to a top 4 spot at plus 64. Monica Hall-Meals is at plus 64. April Herman, plus 61. Kimberly Woodall at plus 55. She gets in. Michelle Irwin at plus 53. Dion Wilson-Bouye at plus 41. Ellison Taylor at plus 40. Samantha New plus 39. Dana File plus 36. Annalise Sisk at plus 34. Susan Karate at plus 28. Faith Hall gets in at plus 25. And your cut score, Teresa Smith-Dill at plus 23.
She made the right call. She had to wait till the end, but she made the right call.
So plus 23. I told Chad early before in the first squad, we talked about what you would be comfortable with. And the more I got to thinking about it, I said 20 over, I would feel comfortable. And it ends up being plus 23. And the next score was Michelle Beeson at plus 15. And Linda Burns with 140 her last game dropped all the way out at plus 12.
Those hurt. Those hurt.
Absolutely. So anyway, Mike, it's going to be exciting. Storylines. How about Teresa Smith-Dill against Shelby New? Teresa Smith-Dill, a 2-time winner of this tournament, against the hometown hero, Shelby New. That should be exciting.
They both sat out. They both sat out that round, so it'll be fresh for both of them and challenge. I mean, it's good. There's not an easy match out there from what I've seen. I mean, it's a great field.
Jenny Ferguson, a past champion. Monica Hall-Mills, a past champion. Kimberly Woodall, a past champion. Teresa Smith-Dill, a past champion. Some young players, too, Mike. We have, obviously, Shelby New, but we have Taylor Ellison, a Lafayette native, who is a very young player. Annalise Sisk from Lafayette is in the finals. So we do have some young talent mixed in there. Natalie Tackett, you got to say, is young as well. So we got some young, and we got some veterans in there that have won it before.
Yeah, like I said, it's a great field, and in a one-game match, there's been big scores already. So in a one-game match, I mean, you could definitely lose in that, shoot 230 and lose one if you're not careful.
All right, that concludes our qualifying of the 2020 Indiana State Queens. Again, we'll be back on the air sometime shortly after 4 o'clock. They're going to have to take time and redress the lanes. And we're going to bring you every round live as it happens here on Savage Bowling TV. Mike, thanks for your time here in the qualifying squad. It should be exciting, that match play finals.
Thank you. Having fun.
All right, we'll be back here on Savage Bowling TV. We're going to find out who is going to win the 2020